Hey crafters, this is Paulette, and I thought I would show how I make one of my little man cards. This card needs to be 8.5 by 11 because all the people at work sign the cards, so I need as much space as I can for them to sign. This card is for a mechanic in the Nissan department, and so all of the buildings are made out of the large block. And I'll post a photo of how I scored this to stay straight with my big block bricks here. I simply scored the back piece at 3/8 of an inch across the top here, and then adhered that with my ATG gun. So that is actually the brick wall. And since we're doing for a mechanic, I'll do his toolbox right here in front of that, and then I'll show you how I construct the body. So what I do is I have the Quickutz paper dolls die. Sometimes I use the Sizzix paper doll body, but it's a little more feminine, and this one's a little bit more masculine. So I've cut the body in just a ivory cardstock, and then the uniform for this man is gray pants and a gray shirt with red accents. So we'll talk about how I'm going to do that. I just did black shoes. His hair's black. He has a goatee that's black. So I cut those out of some other dyes. Spiky hair, so I used this rock and roll hair from this dye. And then I used the pants and shirt from the policeman dye and the little collar. And let's see, I used one other dye. It was the construction worker. That's where I got the goatee. And I'm using these little tools here. I used the screwdriver and the wrench. And then I also used this. This is actually the tool belt, but I turned it into a crescent wrench, and we'll talk about that. I used the shoes from this die and the hammer. So typically what I do is start out with the clothes, and I'm going to do a little bit of sponging. The uniform was gray, and I didn't really think about that because my brick wall is gray. So we'll do a little sponging on the clothes, and that way it'll help them to stand out a little bit. I should have already dug out my sponges. There we go. Alright. So we're going to use some Stampin' Up! Going Gray. And I usually like to have just a scratch paper up here, and I need my little pick 'em up so I can get a hold of my stuff. Alright. Just sponge around the edges, and that way they'll show up against the other gray background. And I'm not going to worry about sponging under the arms because that's where we're going to put our red accents. So I have cut the shirt in this other red as well. Now I could have done that two ways, the accents for the shirt. Let me get that out of the way so we can see what we're doing. I could have taken the little die cut piece from the red and just laid it on here, because I need the red accents as a stripe up the side and under the sleeve. So I could have used this and just colored in. Well, I guess I couldn't have used that. I would have had to use a mask and mask off, and I could have just colored in the little red areas that I needed to, but I thought it would be just as easy to use another shirt and just cut what I need. So that's what I'm going to do. There's one for the right side. And there's one for the left side. Then we'll just glue those on. I like to glue on a separate little piece of paper. And I'll turn these over to the wrong side so I can put glue on the back of them. There we go. Being awfully sticky today. All right. And then there was some little red piping around the collar, but I'm just going to use the red collar and call it good. Okay, now we can start gluing that onto our body. Now I usually do pants first. And really we need our shoes on there so we can tell where they're going to be. Now if there's any glue that's outside the body, I just roll it back in onto the body. Just like that. So we'll get our shoes on. Then our pants come over the shoes a little bit. Roll back any glue. I love this ATG gun. Alright. Okay, I usually like to bring the shirt just over the pants, just a little bit. There was a belt, but I didn't use it. And I'm going to have to attach the shirt to the body first to make sure to get the arms all in there. Alright. Put a little glue right there. Okay. Now I usually take just a little bit of close to cocoa and sponge around the head just to give it a little bit of dimension. Then I think it's best to put the glue on the back of the head. And this person has brown eyes. Now I could take my little markers and try to color that, but usually they bleed past the eyes. So what I'm going to do is I will just punch an extra little piece of brown. Just get a little scrap of brown, and I usually just punch a circle and avoid the eyes with the adhesive and just put some adhesive back there, and then stick my eyes on, and then they show through from the front. Now when I cut this hair out, it's supposed to be a point here on the edge, and it didn't do that, so I just clipped the other side off to make it look similar. I could have die cut another piece, but I didn't want to. If it's something that's trimmable and to make it work, I just trim it. Just trim it and go on. So there's our spiky hair. And I'm going to sponge the hands just a little bit. Just makes them show up a little bit more. A little better. The ears too. Okay, we still got the goatee to put on there. Do a little zig two-way glue. Probably could have used the one that's more like an ink pen, would have worked a little better. And my little clay is getting all smushed up on my quick stick pen. Oh, these are so funny. Okay, so there's my little man. Let's bring the card back in. I'll move my tools over here to the side. I got to work on those a little bit. Oh, he's just not going to show up very good at all. I may have to draw a shadow behind him with a marker to make him show up a little better. Now, since he works in the Nissan department, the Nissan emblem is a round kind of frame. So I've die cut that already with some spellbinders. This will just be an extra piece, and here's my little frame, and it's not very big, but it's the only circle dies I have, and so we're gonna make it work. And I cut a word window punch with the Stampin' Up! Word window, but that's not going to be long enough, so I'm going to have to do that little trick where you cut a longer piece, and this is just a smidge smaller than 3/8 of an inch wide, and then that will fit inside the word window punch, and you punch your first edge, and then you'll feed it through. So I need to figure out, I need this to span this whole thing here and go just a little bit longer. So what I'll do is I will mark it. I'm gonna mark it about right there, and then I'm going to cut it right there. So feed it through the back, get it straightened out.